South Africa is at a crossroads on the cusp of what has been billed as a historic election. It coincides with 30 years of the democratic dispensation. Former IEC Chairperson Dr. Brigalia Bam says the country has come a long way in positioning itself as a beacon of hope in producing free and fair elections.
Free and fair it has been us. We have kept to that. We have a record, an international record in this country. We are proud of it. And we want to keep that reputation because we are competing internationally. We're not just voting, we want the world around. And as electoral commissions and as countries, we compete on that. Free and fair is basic. There is nothing that is as discouraging to citizens as to know that they have a government for 5 years that should not be governing the country. And that's why it is important. It affects the attitudes, it affects the trust.
In many African nations, elections are seen as a source of conflict. Electoral bodies are not trusted, and more often than not, this sparks violence as the electorate express their displeasure with the state of affairs. The question is, are there any challenges in the South African context, and what can be done to mitigate them?
There are things that have challenges in the process of implementation and also its impact after the implementation. And that is what becomes a demand. For instance, if I had to be a person demanding, I would decrease the numbers of parties because logistically and financially, it's a challenge in terms of money, in terms of the budget. And I would put new requirements that simply say, you have to have so many people and increase the number of the people who can form the parties and have a kind of a reasonable base and not an open thing that makes it easy that overnight you decide you must get 200 of your friends to join a party.
But the former IEC chair further says South Africa's democracy is maturing, and this should be a source of inspiration on the continent that is facing a number of challenges.
Well, I think like all countries, South Africa is on the right track as it follows and keeps to its constitution demands. And I think the preparations and the enthusiasm and activism of South Africans who are preparing for elections is in place. What would have been a challenge to us would have been a situation where people are indifferent and the political parties don't want to vote and people don't want to register. So I think from that aspect of it, we are on the right track.
Khayelihle, Khumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.